acts of God. Yeah. God, the creator, the one who gets. I was quickly recapping as to what we understood yesterday about the three acts of God: the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer. Creation through Brahma. God gets the creation of the righteous world through Brahma, and he sustains the righteous world, the world which is known as Satyog or the golden age. The paradise has been sustained by the deity souls, and symbolically, Vishnu is being shown as the four hands has been shown to Vishnu. That is the family system in the golden period, symbolically shown as two hands of Sri Lakshmi and two hands of Sri Narayan. And the four alankaras shown to Vishnu. Yesterday we understood the spiritual meaning behind the alankaras shown to Lord Vishnu. There are all meaningful, alankaras shown. First is Gada, which is the symbolic symbol of power. Then it is Chakra, the symbol of the human cycle, the one who holds the knowledge of the human cycle. Then the conch, which is spreading the message of God, making making everybody known that God has come. Conch represents the sound made or the service done. Then is lotus, the fourth alankar. Lotus is the kind of pure and detached life led by the deities. So truly speaking, the righteous world created by God, the creator, is being sustained by the deity souls. And the symbol of all the deities, which are many in number, is Lord Vishnu. Then the world, the righteous world, at one point becomes old. It cannot go any further. Then it is destroyed. Destroyed by Shankar. Shankar also is the symbolic form of the one who are meditating. So first destruction, Shankar is always being referred to as the destroyer in our scriptures. So the destruction of the five vices within the soul happens once the meditator or Shankar associates himself with God, the supreme power. So in a way, all of us who are experiencing this connection with God is acting like Shankar. So the symbolic form of all the souls who are now meditating is Lord Shankar. So representative. So yesterday we understood about why Shankar has been shown with Ganges coming out of his head, and why there is snake around his neck, and why the rosary in his hand, the mala, and why there is Trishul always shown in his hand, and why is he seated on on the lion's skin. Yeah. So all, somebody wants to speak, or is it by mistake? All right. So yeah. So yesterday we understood about the three acts of God, and there is one point in Bhagavad Gita. There is written that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat. There is at one point when God, the incorporeal one, the point of light from his highest abode, comes onto this earth. That is why he is being remembered. Let us say if he doesn't come to this earth, doesn't perform any actions, why would he be remembered? All are, all the people who in the past have, let us say Gandhi Jayanti we recently celebrated. Gandhiji brought freedom to our country. That is why he's been remembered. He's performed certain actions which were worth remembering, which were beneficial to others. That is why he's been remembered, and his birth is being every year, 2nd of October, we are celebrating his Jayanti. Likewise, God also comes onto this earth, performs certain actions. That is why he is being remembered by all of us at some point of time. So when he comes, what is the time, and what kind of, how does he, function? Because he needs a human medium, an instrument like us to explain things to we human beings. So for a short while, he takes the human body of Brahma, the founder father, as shown in the picture in the PPT yesterday. We'll understand more in the coming PPT also. as to why the picture of the founder in place of Brahma is being placed over there. Because he became the instrument or the medium to reveal this knowledge to mankind, the real truth about God. So Brahma, or the founder father, he was known as Dada Lekhraj earlier. He was from a Sindhi family, a business family. He was a diamond merchant in 1936. He was a very well-to-do merchant in Pakistan, Karachi, which was part of India in those days. Mm. So, and he was a big devotee of Lord Vishnu, and he was always on the search of the real truth about God. So that kept him, experimenting with different faiths and trying to understand as to what each religion talks about God, so that he himself should experience the real truth about God. So this was his lifestyle. He was a successful businessman, and daily there were some discourses, satsang going on in his place. He was a very religious minded personality. So one day when there was a satsang going on, I'm explaining you briefly the history of the organization about the founder father. So one day when there was a satsang going on in his place, so suddenly there was a strong thought to Dada Lekhraj that go to your room. And the thought was so strong that he couldn't resist. He had to actually go to his room, and when he sat on his bed for a short while, he had he could see the destruction of this world, like a sakshatkar, it was like on a movie screen, how clearly you see things. So something of that sort, he could see very clearly in front of his eyes the destruction of the world, where there was a lot of bloodsheds, there was natural calamities on one hand, there were nuclear weapons, and there was too much of violence and disturbance. So not understanding, and that scene faded away after a few seconds, not understanding why he was, seeing such kind of disturbing things, and trying to make sense out of it. He comes and joins the satsang again. But because his mind was so upset after that scene, he was not able to follow what the Guruji on that particular day was trying to explain. So again, after a few minutes passed by, again there was a strong pull that go back to your room. Again, he goes back to his room, he sits on his bed, and again there is a sakshatkar or a divine insight of a very, on the contrary, a very beautiful place, like where everybody is in harmony with each other, there is oneness, there is nature at its best, and perfect period, where everything is in utmost peace, love, happiness exists. So he didn't understand, and that scene also faded away after a few seconds. Not understanding as to what was the earlier scene. It was so disturbing, so painful, and why am I seeing the other side of the coin, or a very beautiful scene, and what is this beautiful place all about? He was trying to understand. In between, while he was trying to make sense out of these two visions which he had, there was again a beautiful vision of God as a point of light in front of his eyes, and suddenly the whole room got illuminated with bright light, and there were sounds which were coming in the room naturally. Nijananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham, Jnana Swarupam Shivoham Shivoham, which God was trying to tell him that my original form is that I am a point of light, and my name is Shiva. I am the purifier. I am uh, the ocean of peace, love. All of those kind of praises of God he could hear in the room, whereas there was nobody in the room. So, and that scene also fades away in front of his eyes. So then he comes back and he tries to explain things to his family as to what he was, going through. But nothing was of much clarity at that point of time. So slowly he thought that he should take a break for a few days from his business, because from that day onwards he could see some beautiful positive changes in his attitude. He was a man of lot of values. He was a man of disciplines and principles, but still he could see further, some shift of his consciousness from body to the soul. Unknowingly, there was an internal shift in his consciousness. So, in order to understand better as to what internal changes he was feeling, he takes a break from his business, and then he goes to Calcutta, because he had a home in Calcutta. For business purpose, he used to travel from Karachi to Calcutta. He spends a few months time there, understanding as to what what's happening within his inner world. So slowly, in this 1.5 months time, he understood that God doesn't has a body like us. We all thought that God is in this form or that form, and we, as per our understanding, gave him many images and names, but God is an incorporeal one, doesn't has a body. So very clearly, this understanding emerged, and then slowly he could understand after a while that God is using him as an instrument to reveal the secrets of his knowledge, because he's been referred to the ocean of knowledge. So how would this ocean of knowledge, who doesn't has a body, reveal his knowledge to the mankind? So when he comes back from Calcutta, he finds a lot of changes in his personality. Family also observes him, that he's become even more calmer, even more peaceful in his dealings, even more powerful internally he is feeling. So all of that observations, he was trying to talk to people about what changes he was feeling. So when people around him or his friends and colleagues started listening to his experiences, they also could feel that there is some power, within this being, this human being, which they were experiencing during his company. So slowly he started talking more and more about whatever touchings or realizations he was getting from Lord Shiva, God Shiva, and he started more and more talking to people about what is the real truths of knowledge, real truth about the self first, real truth about God, the truth about our purpose in life, how the human cycle is moving on, why are we on this earth, the karma philosophy. Slowly, one by one, everything started emerging within him with lot of clarity. So when he was speaking to people, people could relate to him. And that was the period when there was a lot of idol worship. People were worshipping some idol or the other, whereas he was speaking that God doesn't has a form like us. He is the incorporeal one. So the people who were experimenting on these thoughts, they were finding it very, very powerful and useful. They were life changing experiences which they were which was happening in their respective lives. But there was some opposition from the people who were into the path of devotion, because their sentiments, their old belief systems were challenged by him. But in spite of lot of opposition faced by the founder, he still sustained a big number of group of 300 people for 14 long years. And then later, after partition, this group of people who were following his ideas and thoughts about meditation, how to associate the self, the being, the soul with the supreme, and they were experimenting on this. They were, they understood that yes, this works, because they had some proven results in their own lives. So they continued with him in spite of the opposition happening on one hand. So after the partition happened, the organization, he gave the name as Brahma Kumaris, keeping the the females or the young Kumaris who were unmarried in those days and were sincerely following the new path or the way of living. He made them the trustees of this organization with all his wealth. He kept them women in the forefront, whereas women in those days were the suppressed lot. They were not, in any prominent places of the society. They were they were looked down, truly speaking. But he, because he was the instrument of God, and God was inspiring him to, uplift the women, which God could observe that there was a big, huge imbalance in the society, and he had to do something as an instrument of God. So he took a bold step and he kept the women in the forefront. And he started the organization by the name Prajapita Brahma Kumari's Ishwariya Vishwa Vidyalaya. And he was lovingly known by this group of 300 people as Prajapita Brahma. He was the human medium of God, explaining the secrets of knowledge to mankind. So in a way, they felt him also as a fatherly figure. Prajapita and Brahma means the creator. God uses this medium or this body for his great creation, which is the righteous world or the golden world, the garden of Allah or the paradise was being created by God through this medium. So he was later on called by this gathering of 300 people as the true Brahma. And the people, the 300 people who were following the footsteps of Brahma were called as the mouth-born children of Brahma. Through his mouth, whatever knowledge was revealed to this group, they were experimenting on it and they were finding it very, very useful in their life. And they started considering him as Brahma, and we are the Brahmins or the mouth-born children of Brahma. So this is in brief about the organization. And when the 300 group moved from Pakistan to Mount Abu, slowly this group, which was practicing intense meditation, by then the 14 years of intense meditation happened, was completed, and then the founder, Dada Lekhraj, who was later known as Brahma Baba, or the father in a way, through whom we got this knowledge. So he started sending people into various directions from this group of 300 people to explain the concepts of meditation to mankind. So from Mount Abu, Rajasthan, slowly, a delegation was moving to different directions in the country. And then later on, it went to different other countries out of India. And then now we have in more than 130 countries, we have more than 9,500 branches worldwide. So slowly, this is how the organization grew. And still, the women are taking the front seat in the administration, even though there are brothers who are dedicatedly giving their services, but they are like the backbones in the services and keeping the sisters or the females in the forefront, which is the principle created during the founder's time. And in 1936, the founder left the body. Since he didn't consider himself as any guru, he didn't pose off as any guru, and he didn't allow anybody to worship him. All he had to tell this group of 300 to 400 people, the initial group, was get associated with the Supreme. That is more important. I am just a human being. There's no point worshipping me. I'm as ordinary as you are. I have experimented on these concepts of the soul and the Supreme Soul, and Rajyoga, the technique of drawing the energy from the Supreme. I have benefited, and I suggest all of you to follow this technique, which has worked out for me. That's all he suggested. And he never allowed anybody in his entire lifetime to touch his feet or garland him or consider him as God. So that's the reason after he left the body in 1969 also, there was a lot of growth in the services. Generally what happens is when the founder of any big spiritual organization happens, when they leave the body, generally the organization loses its charm, or there are not many followers after that. But the beauty of this organization is after the founder left the body, the services multiplied. It happened multiple times. And because there's no guruism over here, after him there was the senior, whom we call as Dadi Prakash Mani, who was one of the member of the initial group. She took charge. After Prakash Mani Dadi Janki took charge, and she was 104-year-old till she left the body in this year, in the month of March. So, and still we have many other people from the initial group who are now continuing in the administration of the organization, but none of them uh, they pose to be as the guru of this organization. They feel they are the instruments of God, revealing the message of God to mankind, and what benefit they have experienced in their life. They are supposed to pass it over with that sole intention, with that pure intention. They function as the administrative heads. So with that, with that uh, pure intentions, the growth of the organization in this 84 years, it's been 84 years since the establishment of this organization happens. This is one of the biggest organization which has come this far for this many years, run by the women in the forefront, because each individual, whoever is heading a branch or any zonal head, also feels that God is being running this organization himself, and we are just merely the instruments. With this idea, this is how God's work is going on from the last 83 years, and it is still continuing to sustain us for um, in the present moment of crisis also. So this is in brief about the organization. Today, moving forward, we'll take the questions towards the end, and I will address to the leftover questions also from yesterday's group, because there was some power cut yesterday. That's why randomly our systems went off, so couldn't talk to you all towards the end, and had to end the meditation also randomly. But today we will make sure that all your questions are answered properly. And now, if I take you one step forward as to what is the time when God comes onto this earth. Because in Bhagavad Gita, there is a mentioning that when there is irreligiousness, God has to come. For which I ask the sister to turn on the PPT for me. So today we will understand the human cycle, how the cycle is functioning. Okay. So the human cycle or the time cycle, like there is a 24 hours clock which shows you what time we are and in what time zone we are, which helps you understand the time. Likewise, there is a bigger cycle also going on, which is called the human cycle. Let us see what this cycle helps us understand today. Time is cyclic and eternal. There is one time cycle of day and night of 24 hours, and it is eternal. We do not know when this time cycle started, what is the starting point, and we do not know when this time cycle will end. How many 24 hours we have experienced in the past, nobody can say, and how many more 24 hours are yet to come, nobody can talk about that as well. So next is the cyclic pattern of the seasons. There are 4 seasons, so that is also happening on its own. Nobody knows when the season cycle started or when the season cycle will end. That is also going on eternally and in a cyclic pattern. At its own designated time, every season changes every year, right? Then there is the third cycle of water cycle. We have rains, then then when there is again the cloud formation from the water in the rivers due to humidity, and then again those clouds fall or they shower upon us in the form of rains. So this is also a water cycle is also going on eternally. We do not know when it started. I mean, we do not know when it will end. Then likewise, there is an eternal time cycle of we human beings. The duration of this cycle is 5,000 years. It takes one full cycle or one kalpa, which it is called, of 5,000 years. It is called as one kalpa. So there are four, it is divided into four equal halves. The first half is the golden age, Satyug. The second half is the Treta age, the silver age. The third half is Dwapar Yuga, the copper age, and the fourth half is the iron age. This bigger eternal time cycle, which many of us do not know, we just know the 24-hour cycle. So bigger human cycle is also rotating, and it is divided into four halves: the golden age, silver, copper, and iron age. Today we will understand in detail about the eternal time cycle. It takes 5,000 years to complete one kalpa. How many of you have seen this symbol called swastik in your life? Yes? Can you show your hands or unmute yourself if you have seen this symbol before?
Yes, we've all seen it.
Yes, you
Yes,
all.
I guess everyone has seen.
Yes, everybody has seen, right? This symbol is made on the books of accounts or anything new you buy, or a new house, car, or any new thing. This symbol has been made in our country. This is just not a symbol. This has a beautiful spiritual meaning attached to it. Let us see what the symbol is telling us. What is the message it is giving us? And if you might have observed, when we draw this symbol in this pattern, beneath that, many people write Shubh Labh, right? So Shubh means good, Labh means the benefit. What good benefit is the symbol giving us is a question mark. We just write for the sake of it, but we do not try to understand what is Shubh and what is Labh. What is the secret behind the symbol, which is helping us to experience that Shubh and Labh in our life. Today, let us see first the word swastik means that it is the one which gives you the information about your sthiti or your stage, or the human stages which we all human beings go through. Swasthiti suchak, that is called swastik, which means swa means the self, sthiti means the stages, and suchak means the one which is informing you about the stages of the human souls. It represents the different stages of the souls in the time cycle. Let's see how. So this symbol, which has, a line which is pointing towards the right, which is representing the first half in the cycle. If you see, there are four halves. This symbol is being equally divided into four halves. The first half symbolizes the golden period, the stage of soul when it is experiencing the golden period, which is 100% health, wealth, and happiness, and the battery of the soul is 100% charged. And this golden period has been remembered in all religions. So truly speaking, it once existed. And there were a few souls which also experienced the beauty of this beautiful period, or this beautiful era, which in the past we all have, it existed on this earth. The 100% pure health, wealth, and happiness period was once there, where there was one religion, one language, one kingdom, utmost peace and happiness in the entire world. So the first half represents the golden period, where all souls which existed or experienced this golden period were 100% pure and free from all the vices. So that's why there was purity, health, wealth, and happiness all around. Then coming down, 100% full of all the powers and divine qualities. So the human souls which existed in this period were not called humans, they were referred to as deities in human bodies. Deities means the ones who are full of all powers and virtues. So This is the period, the golden period where deities existed, right? So next, coming to, if you see, they are blessed, they are full of all powers, the deities, and the golden period, the duration of the golden period is 1250 years. As you can see, that is a perfect period where nature is at its best, human souls are in harmony with each other. The most beautiful land, the golden land where everything is made out of gold. So Bharat is called the Sone ki Chidiya in Hindi, which means the golden bird. So truly, there was lot of gold in this land in the past. Not ऐसे ही किसी ने नहीं बोला है सोने की चिड़िया. There's lot of meaning behind it. So that golden period, which once existed in the past and has been still date remembered, that period lasted for 1250 years on this earth. Moving on, the Treta Yuga. So if you see gradually the arrow which was pointing towards right, which was full, showing full 100% purity, it came down. So the purity level of the soul or the powers of the soul passing through this cycle or taking or coming into the cycle of birth and death slowly, gradually decreased. Let us say the souls who have come in that golden period, they experienced 100% purity, peace, prosperity, and now taking births after births, they entered the Treta Yuga, because this cycle is rotating and it is going phase wise. From the golden phase, it enters the silver phase. So coming to the silver phase, the soul's power reduces gradually, but the same purity, peace, prosperity, oneness, everything continues to exist. But slightly there is a change in the soul. The level of power in the soul has reduced. That is why it is called as Treta Yuga or referred to as silver. Gold is a valuable ornament, more costlier than silver, and silver gets tainted or it gets affected by the external factors. It becomes blackish if kept outside without covered with anything. It gets affected by the external factors. Likewise, the souls from the golden period, which were not affected by any external factors, they were powerful themselves, accessed total control over the self. Coming to the silver period, slowly that power reduced a little bit, let us say from 100% to 75%. And towards the ending of the silver age, the power further reduces from 75% to 50%. So the duration of the silver age is also 1250 years. Just like the golden period was 1250, the silver also is of 1250. You can see the same palaces made out of gold, and the same nature also continues to be the same in harmony with mankind. It is not disturbing mankind, but the powers in the soul reduces. This is how the silver age is being visualized and artistically portrayed in front of you to help you understand better as to how this period looks like. Then the silver age. After the silver age comes the copper age, or called as Dwapar Yuga. Now this hand which was pointing towards the right up there came down, which means the powers came down, and then there was a further degradation of power. After coming down or reducing the powers in the soul, there was another shift or degradation of power. From here, from the copper age, there was bhakti or devotion. It is the beginning point of all the devotion in the entire world. Whereas half the cycle, which is the golden age and the silver age clubbed together, 1250 years and 1250 years clubbed together, which is 2500 years, there were no traces of devotion, puja, bhakti, because the souls which existed there were worship worthy themselves, which means they never had to sit and worshipped somebody else, because there was no sorrow and suffering and no traces of vices within them. So they never felt the need also to perform bhakti. Generally, when do we worship or perform bhakti? When do we remember God in our life? Yes, you can unmute and tell.
We have problems, then we got
Yes,
problems.
yes,
Or
that's
when we are
right.
in sorrow mode.
Yes, when we want something, when there's something missing in our life, or we are into some trouble or problem, that's when we look up to God. So, truly speaking, the copper age, there is a further diminish in the powers of the soul. That is when this powerless soul looks up to God or calls out to God. That is where puja bhakti begins. So coming to Copper Age, this period also, the duration of this period also is 1250 years. There are different religions which come up. The major religions are Christianity, Buddhism, Muhammad, Islamism, all the important. Abraham first comes, then comes Gautam Buddha of 2200 years. After 2200 years, then after 2000 years comes Jesus Christ, and after 1400 years comes Muhammad. So this is how the major religions are established, because there is a shift of consciousness from soul to the body. Whereas from half the cycle, the golden age and the silver age, there is a natural consciousness of I, the self, as the soul. Nobody teaches us there, but there is a natural consciousness. Coming to the copper age, this consciousness shifts from soul to the body. So that's where it opens the door to all vices. And that's where the sorrow and suffering in mankind starts. And to stop the vices and to control the vices, we need the help of different religious fathers who bring some beautiful message, so that the vices do not reach a peak stage in the copper age. Copper age is the period where the vices also begins to enter all souls, even though it is small in percentage during that period, but that's the beginning point of all sorrow and suffering in mankind, because vices is the root cause of all sorrow and suffering. So these religious heads have their important role to play in that period. They help us to control our vices, to lead a better quality of life, and make sure that religions binds you or shows you a path of some laws. They create some laws for us, so that those laws help us to lead a better life. Okay, so this is about the copper age, which is Dwapar Yuga. Coming to the fourth age, which is the iron age, or referred to as Kali Yuga. So if you see, the downfall in the copper age happens, or the powers in the soul diminishes. Let us say 50% powers are being lost during the copper age, and there is impurity or the vices which enters in the copper age. Slowly what happens is, coming to the iron age, the impurity within the soul or the vices within the soul shoots up, or it is going to a peak stage. It is growing within mankind. So, and further to add on to it, or to make things worse for the souls, is the energy of the souls deplete a great deal coming to the iron age. Because the soul comes into the cycle of birth and death continuously from these four ages, passing over through the four ages. When it comes to iron age, the battery of the soul completely is washed out. It depletes totally, and the impurity, the vices within the souls reach to a peak stage. That is why it is called Iron Age, the dark period, the period of ignorance, and there is no light of hope. As you can see in the images, there is so much of violence happening on one hand. There is a lot of nuclear weapons being created on one hand. There are so many deaths happening in many families, causing so much of sorrow. There is so much of anger growing, there is so much of violence happening in families. Yeah. So this is all the signs of Kali Yuga, where vices reach a peak stage. And there is lots of different faiths also, and many ideas also, many gurus also have emerged by this point of time in this human cycle. Okay, so this is about the human cycle, and it takes 5,000 years. Let us say one particular soul which has entered the cycle in the beginning, in the golden period, experiences utmost happiness, peak level of purity, peace, happiness. And that soul, as a traveler in time, moves from the golden age to the silver age, from silver age to the copper age, and comes to the iron age, where the soul, experiences lot of peacelessness, unhappiness, lot of discomfort within the self. That's when we truly feel the need of God. And when we, even though there is puja bhakti happening on one hand, still there is lot of vices growing. So if you can see the picture, the Kali Yuga and the Satyug, in between these two phases, there's another small period shown, which is symbolizing that there is a short period called the confluence age. In many of the scriptures, there is a mentioning about the golden age, the silver age, the copper age, and the iron age, Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, Kali Yuga. Many scriptures have been talking about these four ages, which mankind has to go through in the bigger cycle, in the bigger human cycle. But there is no mentioning about this small phase or this small period called the confluence age or the Sangam Yuga. Let us understand what is this age all about. As the name goes, Sangam, which means the meeting point, and Yug means the period. So this is the period where we get to meet our spiritual fathers, which is God Shiva. Yeah, throughout the cycle, the soul has physical parents in each birth. So, on a physical level, the soul experiences the sustenance of physical parents for almost 5,000 years. But in the confluence age, this is the only period in the confluence age, this is the period where God, the incorporeal one, comes onto this earth, and takes a human body, transforms the soul, purifies the soul, which has become impure because of the vices within the soul, and helps the soul and takes all souls after purifying. He takes all souls back home, where the soul experiences complete rest. When we go back, like let us say you are an actor, you where are you go to your shooting place in the morning dressed up, and then you play your role, and then end of the day what happens? You change your costume and you come back home and you are at rest. After the rest, what happens? The actor is again, charged or feels rejuvenated, ready to play its role the following day. Isn't that the scenario with an actor? Likewise, this is the story of we actors also in this eternal drama of life. The soul as an actor passes through these phases of golden, silver, copper, and iron. And when it comes to the confluence age, it gets to understand truly who the soul actually is, gets to know about the eternal parents, who God is actually, gets connected with God, which is called meditation. Again, recharges the battery of the soul with God's power, cleansing the soul also. In a way, God's power cleanses the soul. In a way, it rejuvenates the soul, recharges the soul, because this traveler has come a long way and it has lost. It's become very powerful, powerless, and tired. So again, the energy is filled in the soul at this age. So that is the reason we need to experience the connection in this age called Sangam Yuga, so that all our sins, which has acquired on the soul, can be removed by his loving remembrance, and then we become eligible to go back home as pure souls, which is the home for all souls, Paramdham. Then after taking all souls back to the soul world, after helping them to experience that rest with the divine parents in the soul world for a short while, accordingly, according to the actions performed in the conference age, the soul decides the next birth, which is in the conference age, the fortunate ones who get to associate themselves with God and follow the guidelines uh, given by Him, purify themselves, they become eligible to come back to the golden period or experience the utmost peace, love, happiness, and bliss while being in the human body as deities. The souls who are in the conference age, experiencing God in their life, associating themselves, having a good meditation with God, they will all go back home. The ones who do not experience God also will go back home, where the big destruction of this old world happens. That is the time when all souls will have to go back home, irrespective of who they are, whether they have experienced God or not. All souls will fly back home. And then after that, uh, those who have purified themselves in the conference age, those who have taken the helping hand of God and made their life worship worthy, they become eligible to come from the soul world into the golden period. The ones who have not paid that attention, not much of attention to what God is telling us now in the conference age, or not taking much of His help and support now, they come into the silver age, and much lesser attention to God's direction come into the copper age, and even more much lesser attention on the karma or actions, or absolutely no attention to what God is talking to us. They come into the iron age. So slowly what happens is golden age has fewer number of souls. That is, when the destruction of this old world happens, when all souls fly back home, few souls, selected souls who have purified themselves in the conference age, they become eligible to come into the golden period. They start their journey from there, from the beginning point. They are already there in the golden period, and few other join them from the soul world in the silver age. So it is golden age souls plus the copper age, silver age souls. So the population increases towards the end of silver age. So coming to the copper age, there are souls from golden age, silver age, plus a few other bunch of people who join them from the soul world, who come down to the earth, take the body and start playing their role. So in the copper age, there is population growth with a much faster pace, and towards the iron age, all souls from the golden period, that is golden age souls plus the silver age souls plus the copper age souls, and all the souls from the soul world meet at one point called the iron age, where the soul world slowly empties. That is why copper age coming to the iron age, the population in the world becomes out of control, and then there is scarcity of resources. Already there are vices, already the soul has become weak. That is the reason now we see the world out there in a very bad shape, which was once considered to be the golden age, or like the daylight, or it was like the new world. New is always good, bright, and enjoyable. Slowly passing through this cycle, this new world becomes old. This is the law of nature, that something which is once new has to become old. Likewise, similar is the case with the uh, human cycle also. It's new at one point, it is called the golden age, and slowly and gradually from new it becomes old, which is the iron age. So we are in iron age, or towards the ending of the iron age as revealed to us by God Himself. And the ones who have experienced God or connection with God are no more in Kali Yuga. They have moved one step forward, or they have come into the confluence age. So the good news for all of you is that we have taken this courage to attend this course and understand the beautiful knowledge of God and to associate ourselves with God. So we souls, we fortunate ones, how many are there today? Let us say 19 participants, okay? So all the participants, I congratulate you that you have taken this one step to move away from the Iron Age to the Confluence Age. So the good news is we are now here in the Confluence, a short period where we get to know who we truly are, what is our purpose of life, why do we need God in our life, why do we have to associate with Him. So all of that clarity happens because we are now in the confluence age. Confluence age is the time where we get to know the knowledge of the entire cycle. We can look this ways, we can look that ways. So in the confluence age, God reveals that you are no more in the dark period. You are heading towards the light, but you are now in between. There are brighter days. There is Satyug awaiting you. The good news or the breaking news is, after this old vicious world, which has now become an ocean of sorrow, we are awaiting a daylight, a beautiful world with full of happiness, love, bliss, and oneness and one religion, and a beautiful period is awaiting us. So people now are very much worried what will happen after Corona and how things would be, whether we'll get to come back to the normal stage or not. All of that is, naturally coming to many minds. And they are right in a way also. But everything comes to a full stop when we understand that yes, this is old and old has to go in order to make way to the new to come. Just like your building, you once built it, it was new. You were enjoying it, your house, new house. Everything was bright and up to the mark, and you were happily living. Slowly, as time passes by, your building becomes old. You are not to be blamed, or nobody has to be blamed for making your building old. And when your building becomes old, where it cannot, stand any further, it demolishes, it falls down, or you demolish it, and it is being replaced by a new building comes up in that same place. Similar kind of a thing happens with this entire world also. Now the world we live in is the old world, but the good news is, in spite of the old with so much of problems in it, even though people are trying hard to fix it, even though there are so many faiths to help us, but the old has to go. In spite of all of this happening on one hand, the real secret revealed to us by God is the old has to go. I know that it is a dangerous thing to imagine the destruction. The word destruction is quite disturbing, but it is for good. If we understand that if I demolish or destroy my old building, only a new emerges, which is, up to the mark, which is matching with the current period. If I start seeing the plans of the new building coming, then the pain associated with the old building, which I lived 50 years, or the attachment with that building, easily the detachment with that old happens when I start seeing, there are 3D way now to see a building even before it emerges. Many people show it to you many architects show it to you in a 3D way. So when you start looking at the new model of your house, which is very up to the mark, very modern and very contemporary and very in line with with the modern trends, so then you start feeling happy. Then the pain of the old going is naturally removed. Likewise, in the near future, we all souls are going to travel back home to our land of home, leaving the bodies in this corporeal world. There is a time, a period where all souls will experience mukti in the near future, but it is for a short while. Just like the actor takes rest for one night for about 6 to 8 hours, that's a short while, and then the actor is excuse me, just like the actor is again ready to play its role for the next day, this actor called soul is also once again, after experiencing rest in the soul world, is ready to play its role, and accordingly either the actor comes in the golden period or in the silver period or copper and iron based on the actions performed in Sangam Yuga. So this is the most valuable time. It is the most auspicious time. 1 second, just excuse me. Yeah. So Sangam Yuga is the most valuable yuga, most valuable period where you get to associate yourself, the soul with the Supreme Soul, recharge the battery of the soul, purify the soul, cleanse the soul, and make the soul worship worthy to go into the golden period. So now the attitude of we meditators, or if you ask me, the aim is to make myself so elevated with experience of God in my life is to come in the beginning of the golden period. If you ask me the aim of the Brahma Kumaris or the aim of myself, moving forward in this organization. It's been now 25 years. So
Ma'am,
I
we're not able
aspire.
to hear you. Sorry to disturb.
No problem. Now, is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
okay?
now it's better. Thank
Fine.
you.
Thank you for telling me. Yeah. So I was telling, if you ask me the aim of this organization or aim of every individual in this organization is to purify the self, make by drawing the energy of the Supreme is to make the self so powerful that it becomes eligible to come from the beginning point of the golden period, wherein we do not miss the beautiful 100% of purity, peace, prosperity, whilst being in the bodies over here. In the golden period, even though the deities once existed in the golden period who were few in number, right, they experienced peak level of 100% level of love, which is missing now. They experienced 100% of purity, which is missing now. There's so much of impurity, so much of adulteration, nothing pure. Even the ghee you are eating, it's written pure ghee, it's written pure milk, but nothing pure you are getting, right? Whereas the deities in the golden period have experienced all sorts of purity, peace, prosperity, and happiness. Okay, so moving forward. Sangam Yuga is called the Kalyankari Purushottam Sangam Yuga. It's referred as the most elevated time, which makes you elevated souls. So confluence age, which is Sangam Yuga, is the time when God, the point of light, incarnates, comes onto this earth, takes a human body, and explains the secrets of his creation. So swastik is the Sanskrit word which means, can we go behind? Sister, can we go one slide behind? It's moving on its own. Yeah, thank you. So swastik is a Sanskrit word which means, one second. Yeah. Yeah, swastik, which always beneficial for us. Swastik, swastiti kasuchak. Swa is the self, and it is, if you understand why in front of swastik there is written Shubh and Labh, uh, this is the secret, that once you understand that yes, we have experienced the golden period, and in the near future we are going to experience the golden period. The one who understands this secret about this cycle experience Shubh and Labh in all his or her dealings. Then this is an eternal world drama, which goes on for 5,000 years, every cycle, and we are all and it is eternally beneficial if we understand the true secret of the cycle. We are all actors in this world drama. Like all actors don't come at one time onto the stage all at once. They slowly come as per their role, as per the timings given by the director. Likewise, all souls also come onto this earth on their respective time. And truly speaking, they're all actors. And just like there is nothing new happening in that drama, they are all planned as they are moving as per the directions of the director. Likewise, we souls also are identically playing a role in this cycle of 5,000 years, which means that whatever scenes we are going through now happened 5,000 years back also. You know, we are just repeating it in this cycle. And the coming cycle also, it is going to be identical. So why worry about something when it is all identical and it is going on as per the plan? So just follow the plan and pay attention to the orders of the director, move according to his direction. That's all we have to do in this confluence age. So, and putting a full stop, that whatever is happening is for benefit. That powerful statements helps you to put a full stop to all the wasteful and negative thoughts which happens in this Kali Yuga, which many people get stuck up with. So the knowledge of the drama relieves you from all the wasteful thinking. Hope I'm clear. Yeah. So the ending is always happy ending, just like in the Hindi movies, in our Bollywood movies, always it's happy ending. So is the case with this eternal drama also. There is a lot of climax in between. There is a lot of sorrow and happiness. It is made up like this. So half the cycle, Satyug Treta, there is happiness. Half the cycle, Dwapar Kaliyug, there is sorrow experience. And then later comes the happy ending when God comes and unites us. That is where the happy ending happens. Okay, so this is about the human cycle. I've exceeded again 10 minutes of my time, but I will still take one or two questions. If anybody has anything to ask from yesterday's session or today's session, I would love to answer your questions before we conclude this with few minutes of meditation. Yes, please, you can unmute yourself.
Yesterday, someone asked about the attachment with the children, how to overcome that, and is that good or bad?
Yes. Was that your question, Sunita Ben, or somebody else asked
Yeah,
it?
even I have the same question actually.
Okay,
Yesterday, someone asked, so even I have the same question.
sure, I will come to it.
Please,
Yes,
please tell me.
yes. See, love is like I care for my children. I will do all my duties for my children, but I will not cling on to them. I mean, I will not, out of attachment, there is force experienced. When I'm attached to my children, I want them to behave in a certain way. I want them to do like this. But love allows them to, you know, move the way they want and gently help them to or gently guide them to the purpose of their life. Okay, so love is a natural thing, whereas attachment is not something natural to we souls. That is why there is tightness experienced now in relationships because of attachment. I'm sure you all agree with me that many people are experiencing tightness in relationships, yeah, or some bondages in
Yes.
relationship, yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
experiencing such a thing because this is not natural to us. That is why we are not comfortable with it. We are not happy about it. Whereas something which is very natural to all of us is love. That is acceptable. That is a comfortable place to be. So love naturally allows things to happen. Whereas attachment, there is a lot of tightness experienced. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Attachment, that's the reason attachment is being considered as a vice, not a a virtue. Love is always categorized in the list of virtues, whereas attachment is always categorized in the list of vices. And vices are of no help, no good to we souls, because they are foreign bodies. Any virus, when it enters our body, it's a foreign body. It creates a lot of halchal within us. That's when we get fevers or we get flus and all of that, and we don't feel happy about ourselves. Whereas when there's no foreign bodies, we are original in our pure, loving, peaceful stage. That's a happy place. Anything discomfort is not the original quality of the soul. Original qualities will always make the soul very, very comfortable, at ease. That's the biggest sign of love and attachment. Okay,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sister.
you're most welcome. Any other questions?
Yes, sister. In any of the sessions, will you be discussing about karma philosophy?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
In the
Okay.
coming session, that is tomorrow, we
Yeah.
will in detail understand how this law of karma is functioning, right?
Yes, sister. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Shall,
Thank you.
you're most welcome. So shall we move on to our meditation for a few minutes? I hope there are not any questions coming up. Okay, fine. So sit comfortably, relax your body, take a deep breath and release. In these silent moments, I disassociate myself with my external world, the world of roles and responsibilities, the world of action and reaction. For a few minutes, I disassociate myself with all the external factors and I visualize a tiny point of light shining, bright, star-like entity seated in the center of my forehead. I am a soul in between these two eyebrows. This is the perfect seat of I, the soul, the driver of this vehicle called body. I am the master, the one who is using this instrument. I am a peaceful being of light. Peace, love, bliss, happiness, knowledge, and power are my original qualities. This is what I, the soul, am made up of. The core self, the true self. As I realize that I'm separate from this costume of mine, I slowly experience the true qualities of the soul, which is pure, peaceful, blissful, happy, and powerful. I understand that as the master of this costume, I access a control over the sense organs of this body, this costume of mine. They are my senses, they belong to me. Slowly, I step out of this costume of mine. In this point form, I gradually move upwards, crossing the star, the sky, the moon, the known galaxy. I further move upwards, crossing the subtle region, I reach out to a space which is surrounded by golden red light. I visualize my spiritual father, Shiv Baba, right in front of me, who is also a point of light, just like me to look at, yet very, very powerful. He's supreme in his name, attributes, and his abode. He is almighty, all powerful, and he is constantly radiating his powers like the sun, radiating its energies in the form of rays. So is the case with my spiritual father. He's showering his rays of love upon me. I experience as if I'm under a shower of the divine love, the pure love. His rays of peace are washing away all the tension in the soul. All the burdens within the soul is relieved. I feel much lighter in his presence. His rays of knowledge are being absorbed within the soul. His rays of purity is cleansing the soul, removing all traces of vices and weaknesses within me. These vices were like dark spots on the soul, because of which the value of I, the soul, decreased. If I visualize myself as a diamond, the dark spots were the vices within me. In the presence of God, I visualize that these black spots, the vices are fading away. I'm free from these vices within me. I experience true freedom, liberation. It's a beautiful feeling being in the company of my spiritual father. The eternal Father of all souls is my father, my mother. He is my true guide, my guru, my friend, my beloved, my sweet child. I experience all connections with the One. I belong to Him and He belongs to me. I claim a right over all His treasures. As a child, I am inheriting the peace from the ocean of peace, the love from the ocean of love, the purity from the ocean of purity in the form of inheritance. I'm full and complete. I'm no more a weak soul. I'm transformed in the company of my spiritual father. And now this transformed soul, this empowered soul, I, the soul, slowly and gradually, I move downwards from the subtle, from the incorporeal world, crossing the subtle region. I slowly come to the corporeal world below. Once again, enter the corporeal body. I visualize myself seated on the center of my forehead. And now, I, the soul, I radiate these powers which I acquired from my spiritual parents into this body of mine. I visualize that from my forehead, the tiny point of light called soul is radiating the rays of peace into this entire body, rays of purity, rays of love, of bliss, of happiness and power. Every cell of my body is receiving these powerful rays. I feel a current of new energy flowing within me. And as I experience this, I slowly come back to the awareness of my external world, to play my role as an actor, bringing back with me the experience of peace and power. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.